Working in the shop this afternoon, and the primary goal is to get my MechMaxx vertical mill out of the crate, on a stand, and in a permanent home here in the shop. I guess I've kind of unofficially decided that this corner of the shop is going to be like the machine shop. I've got the lathe right here, and my plan is to put the mill here next to this new outlet. But in order for that to work, I need to get the belt grinder and the drill press moved, and I've decided that these shelves do not belong in the machine shop. This is a bunch of livestock stuff on here. So I'll have to get this stuff moved out of here, and we'll start putting this together in the way that it's gonna stay. Once I get everything cleared out here, moved out of the way, I've got to build a stand for this mill before we can put it in its permanent home. That's what's going on today on Farmertylerranch. Well, I've been rearranging things, trying to figure out where I want everything to go, and I thought I kind of had this figured out. I'd have the belt grinder here and the drill press stuck in the corner down there, but now I'm looking at my concrete floor. There's a big crack right where the mill would go, and I don't want the mill table legs to be on either side of a crack because it'll be moving all the time. So what that means is the mill is going to have to go a little bit further in the corner than I had originally thought, which means the drill press probably cannot go here. And I just can't really figure out where I'm going to put the drill press. So I think what I'll do is just move it out of here completely. We'll get the mill placed and set up where it will live permanently, and then figure out where to put the drill press. The mill I got is the MechMaxx VM32, and it comes with this drip plate. This is for any like coolant or cutting oil that might drip down off of the mill. It's going to be caught on this plate right here. And it also just so happens to give me a perfect template for the base of the stand. 11 by 18 should do it. So I'm filling a pretty decent gap here on the pedestal. A good trick to make that a little bit easier is to turn your amperage down and do a vertical weld from top to bottom. It may not be the strongest way to do it, but it is the easiest. You can see I was starting to lose it on the bottom there. It almost fell out on me, but it didn't. pretty heavy. Jump ahead, it's the next day now. I don't really remember where I left off filming, but the stand is done and the mill is uncrated. So that means the only thing left to do is to get that on top of that. The shipping weight on this mill was like 560 pounds, so we'll pretty safely say it's over 500 pounds. In other words, I'm not just gonna pick it up and put it up there. I'm gonna have to get the tractor with the 3-point lifting arm, and hopefully we can just pick this up and very carefully bring it over here. Well, there it is. Man, I wasn't sure that I was gonna get it in here. It was a really tight turn with that tractor in order to make this land in the right spot, but we got it. So this is my new vertical mill. It is a MechMaxx VM32L. Not sure what the L stands for. We'll figure it out eventually. This mill has a 33-inch table with 32 inches of travel on the X-axis, and the Y-axis has a little bit over 8 inches. So there's a lot of movement here. It's got a 2-horse motor with an R8 spindle, which is pretty standard for a mill of this size. It's got fine feed, a spindle DRO, and then another DRO up here that gives you X, Y, and Z axis. Z, if you don't know, is your up and down. It's pretty much the biggest mill that you can get before you start jumping up into different voltages. Like this one can still run on a regular 110 outlet. And I think this is going to be more than enough for everything that I'm going to do with it. One neat little thing that I noticed here that I was unaware of is there's a little drain spout here. This is like if I wanted to run coolant. The table is already set up to do that. Out of the box, this mill is ready to accept a Jacob's chuck, although I suspect I'll be doing probably not a whole lot of drilling with this, maybe some. But I got a set of R8 collets for different size end mills. You may also notice that the mill does not come with a vise, and I've got one of those already as well. Oh, that thing is heavy. And I know all the real machinists are screaming right now that I shouldn't be putting the vise on yet. I'm just sort of mocking everything up, making sure everything fits together well. But before I really use the mill on something that I care about, I need to tram the table, I need to square the vise, I need to do all of those things so that we get good quality work out of this. Well, this vise looks comically big, but I guess, you know, the way I understand it in machining, bigger is more rigid and more rigid is more better. Now I want to chuck up an end mill in this thing and just turn everything on, make sure everything works. I mean, I'm sure that it does, but you know, you got to check. And here's my assortment of collet sizes for my end mills. So I think we'll chuck up, yeah, let's go with the 3/8. So we need the 3/8 collet, which is this guy right here. You can see this collet has these cuts in it here, these breaks, and as the drawbar is pulling this up into the spindle, it pinches this around the end mill, and that's what holds it. The end mill in there. Tight fit. Let's see if everything works. So this mill has a variable speed spindle on it. It goes from 0 to 2500 RPM. So right now I've got it set to 0. I should be able to press my green button here and put it in forward and slowly dial it up. Got all my axes set to 0. First, let's test the Z. That's going to be the height of the head here. Next, we'll do X, which is side to side. That works. And then last would be Y. And the last one, it might be tough to see on the GoPro, but it is your quill travel or your quill DRO. So as we move the quill down, it tells us how far down we're going. And it looks like it'll go almost 3 inches. There's also a mechanical scale here, or an analog scale, I guess you would call it. Like I said before, I still need to get this all dialed in before I can use it to its fullest potential. But I did want to get it out of the crate and set up on its stand and kind of figure out where everything was going to go. And yeah, so now this corner of the shop here, this is like the machine shop corner. And I hate to say it, but man, there's already some changes I want to make to this stand. And the main one is that this center mast I used here was thin wall tubing. You see, I was trying to use stuff that I already had. I didn't want to go cutting into to new pieces of metal or go to the steel yard and buy new pieces of metal. I just wanted to use scraps I had laying around. And as a result, that center mast piece is only like 1/8 of an inch wall thickness. So what happens is that when you start cranking on one of these hand wheels, I don't know if you guys can see that on camera, but this thing will start to vibrate and move, and that's all because this is thin wall tube here. I think to fix this problem or to remedy it, what I can do is weld a little cross member across the bottom there and then have a piece of tube go straight up to the table on the stand, and that should take all of that little shimmy and shake out of there. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but it is kind of annoying. A lathe by itself is great, and a mill by itself is also great. But when you put the two of them together, there's almost nothing that I can't make now. And trust me when I tell you, I've got some plans for these two machines. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.